Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. I'm a certified forklift operator. This is a video of me passing my forklift certification exam. Why am I doing this? It's because I'm really passionate about the process and culture of forklift operations. No, of course not. Nobody is. So then why am I doing it? The reason why is because my mom owns a nonprofit organization. The organization offers a few free services to the public, including summer camps for kids, tutoring to teach children how to speak English, food assistance programs for low income families, and physical and mental enrichment for elderly adults. But if you've ever worked in or around nonprofits, you know that the funding for them can be incredibly stressful. The organization that my mom owns is run by me and my entire family, including all of my sisters and all of my mom's sisters, a few of our uncles, and my brother. My mom does absolutely everything she can to provide consistent income and keep everybody on payroll for as long as she can. But if a government subsidy runs out unexpectedly or a donor suddenly decides to pull their support, my mom is left scrambling, trying to find a grant or some hidden funds to keep from having to let someone go. I've watched her do this for as long as I can remember, and I can't take it anymore. You know that viral TikTok audio where the guy says, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Somebody has to do something to change this. Fine, I'll do it myself. So I'm always looking for ways to acquire more qualifications to make it easier for me to get a job. See, in the country where I live, it's very, very hard to find work. You have to be really qualified in a lot of different areas because there are a lot of hopeful candidates competing for very few jobs. People are extremely grateful just to find a job flipping burgers. So, although I'm not passionate about the exciting world of the forklift, I thought it would be a good opportunity to increase my chances of being able to provide financial support for my mom's nonprofit so she doesn't have to let anybody go anymore, or so that she can continue to afford the work we do in the community that makes people's lives a lot better. That's also why I make these videos every single day. My goal is that one day I'll be able to make enough money that my mom doesn't have to rely on the whims of rich people or politicians to determine whether or not she's going to have what she needs. But while I was studying for my forklift operator's exam, I discovered that there actually are some pretty interesting things about the forklift industry. And I'd like to share them with you while you watch me nail these forklift maneuvers during my exam. The forklift was invented by the Clark Material Handling Company in 1917. It started as a simple truck tractor used to move axles and wheels around their axle plant. By 1923, Yale added a vertical mast and tilting forks, creating the first true forklift. This revolutionized global trade because it allowed warehouses to stack goods vertically for the first time ever, effectively doubling or tripling storage space without expanding the building's floor plan. So here's a brief breakdown of its parts and how they work. You have the mast, which is the vertical framework that performs the lifting, the carriage, which serves as the mounting base for the forks, and the load backrest, which prevents the load from shifting backward toward the operator. Most importantly, the counterweight, a heavy iron mass at the rear, is what prevents the machine from tipping forward when the forks are loaded. What's really cool about the physics is the stability triangle. Unlike a car, a forklift's suspension is three-pointed. If the center of gravity shifts outside of that triangle, the machine rolls. Today, forklifts are used all around the world, but not always safely. Take the case of a distribution worker in the Midwest who thought he could save 30 seconds by driving with his mast fully extended. He was carrying a 2-ton pallet of heavy machinery parts. As he rounded a corner, the top-heavy load began to sway. Because the forks were raised, his center of gravity was no longer inside that stability triangle. It was floating somewhere in the air. The forklift began to tip slowly, like a falling tree. In a moment of pure panicked instinct, he did the one thing that we are trained never to do. He jumped. As he hit the concrete, the 4-ton overhead guard came down directly on top of him. It's called mousetrapping. The very cage designed to protect him from falling objects became the anvil that ended his life, all because he didn't stay strapped into the seat and ride the tip out. Then there was the tragedy of a veteran operator who ignored the fundamental rules of floor loading. He was operating a heavy-duty electric lift on a second-story mezzanine that hadn't been inspected in years. He was moving a double stack, 2 heavy pallets, of lead-acid batteries. The combined weight of the machine and the batteries exceeded the floor's capacity by nearly 3,000 pounds. Witnesses say they heard a sound like a lightning strike as the concrete gave way. The floor didn't just fall, it punched through the floor below like a hot needle through wax. The machine actually landed upright on the floor below, but the impact force was so great that the steering column was driven upward, while simultaneously the battery acid from his load shattered and rained down on him. He didn't stand a chance. These aren't just stories. They are the price of forgetting that you are operating a multi-ton weapon of industry. The machine doesn't care about your family, your goals, or your mom's nonprofit. It just follows the laws of physics to a bitter end. So, the Spanish I'm going to be teaching you today is el peligro. El peligro. And what that means is the danger. If you like this video or you learned something new, hit the like button. If you'd like to support this work that I do, there's a link to the Cashapp in the description box. And look, if you can't afford to hit the Cashapp, like say for instance you live in the United States, I've read about the way you guys' labor is so egregiously exploited there, but you still want to help, drop a comment down below. It helps us out a lot with the algorithm. We'll see you next time.